I've only ever wanted to be a knight in shining armor. So here I am. Come, my angel, take my...
People are very excited about a movie like this.
We're living in strange times.
We are.
It's good to have a movie.
Pamela Anderson just kissed Liam Neeson in front of the world, and suddenly, Hollywood can't stop talking. Is this just another celebrity PR stunt, or have these two stars secretly found something real? But what fans don't realize is that behind Pamela's smile lies a shocking story, one she's been hiding her entire life. Some moments in Hollywood feel staged, rehearsed, polished to perfection for the press, but this one didn't. At the Naked Gun premiere in London, Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson stepped onto the red carpet like any other pair of co-stars, posing for cameras, exchanging smiles, answering questions.
What is your proudest moment?
Working with you.
But then something happened that made everyone stop scrolling. Pamela, radiant in a deep royal purple corset gown, custom, bold, and dipped in vintage glamour, leaned into Liam with a familiarity that felt personal. She rested her hand softly on his chest, tilted her head toward his cheek, and kissed him. It was soft, unhurried, almost natural. Liam, dressed in a cool gray suit with a black shirt, didn't flinch or pull away. He smiled, not the forced celebrity smile, but a quiet one. The kind that says, yeah, I'm enjoying this, the cameras caught it, the fans saw it, and in seconds, the photo was everywhere.
That's definitely not Canadian. What?
That kiss didn't just spark headlines, it launched a wave of speculation. Twitter lit up with rumors. Celebrity blogs started dropping words like secret romance and on-set love affair. But what kept people talking wasn't the kiss itself. It was the way they looked at each other after. There was no awkwardness, no stage surprise. They stood side by side laughing, leaning into one another like they'd been doing it for years. There was a calmness to it, a rhythm. The body language of two people who'd grown comfortable around each other, too comfortable to be just coworkers. And here's the thing, so it wasn't the first time they'd shown signs of closeness.
Liam, you officially have 199 film credits on IMDb.
199?
199.
No, that's way wrong.
Can you tell me what your 200?
Fans had already started noticing the way they talked about each other in interviews, the way their jokes seemed to land a little too well, the way their comfort level kept inching just past professional. But this moment, this kiss, it changed everything. It turned whispers into questions. Are they dating? Is this for real? Or is this just one more clever trick to hype a movie? And if it was just for the cameras, why did it feel so real? One thing was clear. This wasn't a flirty red carpet stunt that ended when the flashbulbs stopped. It was the kind of moment that lingers, not just because of what happened, but because of what it might mean. And as it turns out, that was only the beginning.
I'd never met Pamela before, but I felt we had a nice, natural chemistry that could be built on and just...
The red carpet kiss might have shocked fans, but for those paying close attention, the clues had been building for months. It wasn't just a single moment, it was the result of a growing connection that had been quietly unfolding behind the scenes. Pamela and Liam had been dropping hints in plain sight. During press interviews for The Naked Gun, they didn't act like two actors promoting a film. They acted like two people who enjoyed being near each other. Like their bond, went beyond scripted jokes and rehearsed answers. Pamela would playfully tease Liam, calling him sweet, kind, and hilariously silly. Not the kind of compliments you throw around for a co-star.
Neeson.
Yes.
And how did you enjoy the experience of being in a Naked Gun comedy?
Oh my God, it's so fun. I mean, it's so different than this film.
These were soft, personal descriptions, the kind you give someone you've come to admire. And Liam, he didn't hold back either. In an interview with People, he said it plainly. I'm madly in love with her. Then added, almost as an afterthought, she's just terrific to work with. I can't compliment her enough. To some, it sounded exaggerated, something an actor might say for the cameras. But if you watched him closely, Liam wasn't joking. He was sincere. He wasn't trying to charm a crowd. He was speaking from somewhere real. Their chemistry wasn't just public, it was personal. The crew reportedly noticed it too. According to behind-the-scenes whispers, Pamela and Liam spent hours talking between takes.
What do you each consider to be the sweetest thing about the other? Pamela, what's the sweetest thing about?
No entourages, no diva demands. Just two people choosing to be around each other even when they didn't have to be. And that kind of connection, it's hard to fake. Their interactions became more than just professional. They were laughing off script, exchanging inside jokes, and lingering at the end of scenes like they didn't want to break the moment. It wasn't forced, it wasn't flashy, it was familiar, which is exactly why the dating rumors didn't die down. They only intensified. Some people wrote it off as clever PR. After all, romantic chemistry sells tickets, especially when it's unexpected. But if this was all a marketing ploy, it was the most convincing one in recent memory.
But what is Liam's proudest career moment to date?
I mean, you must have many. Is it Schindler's?
Because these weren't two celebrities pretending to like each other. They looked like two people who were trying not to fall. And for Liam, a man who's kept his heart closed for years. That said everything. For fans of Liam Neeson, seeing him smile again, really smile, has meant more than just celebrity gossip. Because behind his calm charm and legendary film roles is a man who's carried a heartbreak that most people never recover from. In 2009, Liam's world shattered. His wife, actress Natasha Richardson, suffered a head injury during a ski trip in Canada. At first, the fall didn't seem serious. She was up and walking, even laughing about it. But within hours, everything changed. A traumatic brain injury sent her into a coma.
Alright, I watched the new Naked Gun movie starring Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. Here are my quick thoughts. Overall, this was pretty fun. If you enjoyed the original...
Liam raced to her side, only to be told there was no hope. She was just 45 years old. The two had been married for 15 years. They had 2 sons. And from all accounts, they were deeply in love. Quietly, privately, away from the Hollywood noise. Losing her wasn't just a tragedy. It was the end of Liam's world as he knew it. After Natasha's death, Liam went silent. Not just in the press, but emotionally. He didn't speak about her publicly for a long time. When he finally did, his voice cracked with the weight of everything he'd been carrying. He called her his soulmate. And when asked about dating again,
no wonder Liam Neeson has decided to never date again. His wife has 3 great qualities that no one can match. Number 1,
his answer was always the same: not ready. Over the years, he buried himself in work. Movie after movie, most of them centered around loss, vengeance, grief. It was as if he couldn't escape it, even on screen. Friends said he was still polite, still composed, but never quite the same. Something in him had closed off. So now, over a decade later, when fans see Liam joking in interviews, smiling on red carpets, leaning into Pamela's energy, it's not just surprising, it's moving. Because maybe, just maybe, this is the first time he's allowed himself to feel something new.
Do you know about Liam Neeson's dating history? His wife died unexpectedly. Back in the early 1980s, Neeson dated...
Not to replace what he lost, but to open the door to something different, something healing. And that's what makes his connection with Pamela so compelling. She's not part of his world, she's not the woman anyone expected, but she is someone who understands public pain, private chaos, and what it feels like to be broken, then choose to stand back up. And that's the connection nobody saw coming. But if Liam's finally letting someone in again, the real question becomes, why Pamela? To understand why Liam and Pamela might be drawn to each other, you have to go beyond the red carpets and interviews, back to where Pamela's story really begins.
In March 2009, Natasha was on a ski vacation in Quebec, Canada with her oldest son, Michael. She was coming down...
long before the magazine covers, long before the headlines. Her life was shaped by pain most people never see. Pamela Anderson was born in Canada in 1967. On the outside, her childhood looked ordinary. But inside her home, things were far from peaceful. Her parents had an unstable, on and off relationship. Her father, often battling with alcohol, was abusive toward her mother, physically and emotionally. Pamela watched it all in silence, learning early on what it meant to live in fear. But the real trauma came from outside the family. Someone they trusted. Starting at age 6, Pamela was taken advantage of by her babysitter.
I am so excited today to bring you our very first 90s edition lookbook with this incredible...
A woman who manipulated her in ways no child should ever experience. The abuse lasted for years. And when Pamela finally worked up the courage to fight back, something even more haunting happened. She tried to defend herself with a candy cane pen of all things, and the very next day, the babysitter died in a car accident. Pamela was just 10 years old and convinced she had caused it. "I lived with that my whole really young life," she would later say. But the trauma didn't stop there, and a few years later, she was hurt again, this time by someone older, someone she trusted. While visiting a friend, he was 25, she was just 12. She never told anyone. Not her mother, not her teachers.
Pamela Anderson's rise to fame is something that to me feels extremely rare in a pre-social media world. We just read her memoir and she talks about the way
she didn't want to burden anyone. Instead, she kept it buried, deep. Then, as a teenager, it happened again. Her first boyfriend, along with several of his friends, violated her trust in a way that shattered her ability to feel safe around people ever again. After that, Pamela stopped trusting humans altogether. "I just wanted off this earth," she wrote in her memoir, and yet she survived. Her refuge became animals, quiet, gentle, unconditionally loyal. She poured her heart into protecting them, and over the years, became one of the most outspoken animal rights activists in Hollywood. But underneath that public passion was something deeply personal, a way to love something that couldn't hurt her back.
I guess I haven't seen the show in so long. I don't know. I've been missing. I've been on the farm. I haven't really been watching TV. I've been, playing with my dogs.
All of this, every scar, every wound, followed her into adulthood, into her relationships, into her fame, into every photograph the world thought they understood. So, when Pamela says that every film she makes now is healing a part of her, it's not a metaphor. She's not playing a character. She's trying to rebuild herself. One role, one truth, one honest connection at a time. And that's why her bond with Liam Neeson means more than just gossip. Because for two people who've been broken in such different ways, connection can be more powerful than romance. But Pamela's pain didn't stop in childhood. Her adult life, that's where things got really public. Pamela Anderson didn't chase fame. It found her.
So this is a recent photo of Pamela Anderson, and yes, she looks absolutely stunning. She is rocking a clean girl aesthetic.
At 22, her face appeared on a stadium screen during a football game, and the crowd went wild. Within days, she was being scouted for modeling deals. A beer company made her their new face, Playboy called. She moved to Los Angeles, her past, her pain, her quiet life in Canada, left behind, or so she thought. Modeling gave her something she'd never had before, a sense of control. For someone whose body had been taken from her in so many ways, posing for Playboy felt empowering. She was choosing how she showed herself to the world. And for the first time, she owned the narrative. Or at least, that's how it started. Hollywood didn't take long to turn Pamela into an icon.
My first audition was Naked Gun.
Really?
Yeah. It just kind of happened, so I didn't have to lie. Even though they did think
roles on Home Improvement and Baywatch turned her into a household name. Suddenly, she was everywhere. Magazine covers, red carpets, posters taped to teenage bedroom walls, but the higher she rose, the less control she seemed to have. Then came the moment that changed everything. The stolen tape. Pamela and her then husband, drummer Tommy Lee, had recorded private footage, meant only for them. But after a home renovation, a safe containing the tape disappeared. What followed was a media frenzy. The footage was leaked, sold, and streamed online without their permission. The legal fight that followed was brutal. The opposing lawyers attacked Pamela relentlessly.
You guys really aren't ready for this one. Have you seen Pamela Anderson in 2025? This is her from 1992 to 2025.
Their argument that because she posed for Playboy, she had no right to privacy, that her past somehow erased her right to say no. "You're in Playboy, you have no right to complain," she remembered them saying. It was humiliating, dehumanizing, and during it all, Pamela was pregnant. Eventually, she and Tommy gave up the legal battle, not because they lost, but because they were exhausted. They didn't make a single dollar off the tape, but they lost something far worse: their peace, their privacy, and a huge piece of trust in the world around them. That one incident, broadcast across the internet, followed her for decades. It became a joke, a punchline. But to Pamela, it was a second violation.
You said that your kids saved you. What did they save you from?
Everything. I mean, I didn't even like.
This time not in the dark, but in the spotlight. And just when she thought she'd left it in the past, it came back again. In 2022, Hulu released Pam and Tommy, a dramatized mini-series about the stolen tape. Pamela never approved it. She wasn't consulted. She wasn't even warned. She found out about it while filming her own documentary. And for Pamela, it felt like history was repeating itself. "This feels like when the tape was stolen," she said in Pamela, A Love Story. Once again, her trauma was being repackaged for entertainment, without her voice, without her permission. But this time, she chose to speak, loudly, clearly.
We were talking before we started rolling camera.
Yeah.
Oh, you were discovered?
Yes.
Like in the true sense of the word.
Through her memoir and her documentary, she told the story her way. Not as a scandal, but as survival. And that's the version the world had never seen before. But just as her public battles began to settle, another war was still quietly raging. Her search for real love in a world that kept mistaking her for a fantasy. If Pamela Anderson's public image was shaped by fame, her private life was scarred by chaos. Romance after romance, marriage after marriage, always starting with fireworks and ending in flames. Her first major love story began fast and loud, a whirlwind marriage to Mötley Crüe drummer Tommy Lee in 1995.
What has helped you just keep going?
I don't know if I kept going. I went home to my garden to make pickles and jams. I didn't know I was going to get this.
They got married just 4 days after meeting. For a moment, it looked like passion had finally won out over pain. But the dream cracked quickly. The leaked tape wasn't just a violation of privacy. It was a wrecking ball to their relationship. Then came the violence. In 1998, just months after the birth of their second son, Tommy was arrested for attacking Pamela while she held their child. He served time. She filed for divorce. And despite occasional reunions, in the years that followed, that damage never truly healed. "I still couldn't believe the person I loved the most was capable of what had happened," she later wrote. After Tommy, the pattern repeated itself. Fast love, big promises, sudden collapse.
I really feel like fans have embraced and enjoyed this, dare I say, like second act in your career.
Oh, thank you.
What do you...
She married Kid Rock in 2006. Months later, it was over. She married poker player Rick Salomon twice. Both times, it ended in annulment or divorce. Then came producer John Peters. That one lasted less than 2 weeks. And finally, her bodyguard Dan Hayhurst in 2020. By 2022, they were done too. With every breakup, the media mocked her. The internet joked about how many husbands she'd had. But behind the headlines was a woman still trying, still hoping that love, real love, might still be possible. A woman who grew up believing in fairy tales but kept waking up in survival stories. Pamela once said, "Marriage is hard, and I guess I'm just not great at it."
I look back and think I would have done things differently, but I needed that life experience to bring me to this point to realize I might have done.
But it was never about being bad at love, and it was about never being safe in it. Through it all, the one person she's consistently protected and prioritized is her 2 sons. Despite the chaos, they've remained close, fiercely. And as she entered her 50s, Pamela finally took a step back. No more chasing, no more proving. She moved home to Canada, she planted roots, she started healing. So when a calm, grounded man like Liam Neeson came into her life, it felt different, it looked different. No whirlwind, no drama, just ease, respect, stillness. After a lifetime of heartbreak, it made people wonder, could this finally be the love story that doesn't fall apart?
Being a working mom and being in this entertainment world, and even having your mom.
Just when Pamela Anderson thought she had finally escaped the shadows of her past, Hollywood pulled her back in, without her consent. In 2022, Hulu released Pam and Tommy, a dramatized series centered on the infamous stolen tape and her chaotic marriage to Tommy Lee. The show promised to tell their side of the story. But there was just one problem. Pamela wasn't involved. In fact, she wasn't even warned. She found out while filming her own documentary with Netflix. A crew member mentioned it casually, as if she already knew. She didn't. And when she realized what was happening, it hit her like a wave she thought she'd already survived. This feels like when...
There are some stages that you can do that on and you can make an impact, but this is probably among the biggest.
The tape was stolen, she said. For Pamela, the series wasn't a tribute. It was a reopening of the wound, a slick, dramatized version of her trauma, created by people who had never lived it. The very thing she spent years trying to move past had been turned into entertainment again, without her permission, her voice, or her truth. And that silence? It echoed the way her pain had been handled for decades. At first, she said nothing. The press speculated, critics debated, and Hulu rode the wave of controversy. But Pamela stayed quiet until her documentary premiered. In Pamela, A Love Story, she finally told her version.
I was super shy when I was younger. I know no one likes to believe that, but I was paralyzed with shyness. And I think that is because
raw, unfiltered, and unpolished. Not through an actor, not through a director's lens, through her own words. She spoke about the humiliation, about being told she had no right to privacy, about the heartbreak of watching her most private moments become the world's entertainment, and most of all, about how the show wasn't just triggering. It was re-traumatizing. She called the project cruel, not because it reminded people of the tape, but because it reminded her of how little her voice ever seemed to matter in her own story. But this time, she refused to be erased.
Outfit.
Thank you very much.
So tell me, these 3 days in the house, if you had to describe it.
Through her memoir, Love, Pamela, and the Netflix documentary, she reclaimed her narrative, not to rebrand herself, but to finally be heard. She didn't play the victim. She didn't ask for sympathy. She told the truth. I'm not a damsel in distress, she said. I'm a survivor, and I'm still here. And somehow in the middle of this painful rebirth, a surprising new figure entered her life. One who listened quietly, laughed easily, and didn't try to fix her. Liam Neeson. By the time Pamela Anderson re-entered the spotlight in her 50s, something had shifted. The headlines had quieted. The chaos had slowed. And for the first time in decades, she wasn't being chased. She was choosing her path.
I'm Pamela Anderson, and this is Harper's Bazaar UK, and I'm going to talk about a few life lessons.
She moved back to her childhood home on Vancouver Island. No glam team, no paparazzi, just ocean air, family, and the silence she never had in Hollywood. There, she began doing something unfamiliar, healing out loud. She wrote a memoir, filmed a documentary, opened up about things she'd kept buried for most of her life. But she didn't do it for fame. She did it for freedom. Every film I do lately is healing parts of me, she said. And then came The Naked Gun. That's where Liam Neeson entered the picture. At first, it looked like a strange casting choice. She, the bold, unpredictable icon of the 90s. He, the quiet, dramatic force behind some of cinema's most emotional roles.
Dinner with friends. No, I just need some friends. I don't know if Mary-Kate and Ashley would approve, but I'm wearing it.
But something about it just worked. Their chemistry, on screen and off, was immediate. But more importantly, it was safe. Pamela has been honest about how nervous she was to meet him. I was literally shaking during our first rehearsal, she said. But Liam didn't meet her with ego or judgment. He met her with patience, warmth, humor. He's such a sweetheart, she added. So giving and generous, I think I have a friend forever in Liam. And maybe that's what makes their bond so powerful. It doesn't need a label. Romance or not, it's rooted in something deeper. Two people who have been through hell, found themselves misunderstood by the world, and still came out the other side open to connection.
And then we got married. And he ended up being a big drug addict.
Both are single. Both are incredibly close to their sons. Both know what it's like to lose themselves to love and try to rebuild afterward. Neither of them is pretending anymore. And while Pamela has clarified that there's no romance yet, that one word, yet, has kept everyone guessing. Maybe they're taking it slow, maybe it's just friendship. Or maybe, after all the noise and wreckage of their pasts, they found exactly what they both needed. Someone who sees beyond the story.sec. In a world obsessed with headlines, flash, and spectacle, the story of Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson feels different. Not because it's perfect, not because it's romantic.
I don't know why I have a G-string in my purse, but don't tell me that you don't have a scrunchie.
But because it's real, raw, complicated, and quietly human. Two people who have lost, who have been broken, who've had their pain repackaged for public consumption. And yet, somehow still choose to show up, to connect, to risk being seen again. Maybe it's not a love story. Maybe it's something deeper, a friendship built on truth instead of illusion, patience instead of pressure, respect instead of performance. Or maybe it is a love story, one that doesn't need to be rushed, posted, or proven. No, because when you've lived through what they've lived through, you learn that the most meaningful relationships aren't always the loudest ones. They're the ones that survive the silence. And whatever this is between Pamela and Liam, it didn't start on a red carpet. It started when two people with every reason to give up on connection didn't.